Good day, Market Chameleons, and everyone joining for the first time. Thanks for coming by and checking out the Market Chameleon After Hours show, where we'll be talking to Ryan Mastro from OptionsRobot and looking at some real-time option strategies. But before we get started, let's take a look at the shared disclaimer. Be aware that neither Market Chameleon, Ryan, or myself are registered investment advisors or a broker-dealer. If you're searching for investment advice, please reach out to a licensed professional. This webinar, as all our shows and webinars, are for informational purposes only concerning Market Chameleon, OptionsRobot tools. With that, one last look at the disclaimer, and let's welcome Ryan Mastro to the show. How you doing, Ryan?
Good. How are you? How was your weekend?
Good. Everything was good. Everything was good. Let me bring up your screen. And what are we going to be looking at today?
Well, I mean, look, I think the first thing we got to talk about is what happened on Friday. Friday, we had Powell come out and talk, kind of change the landscape a little bit in terms of where people were looking for interest rates, inflation. And I think everyone got really excited about him, starting to take a little bit more of a relaxed kind of mode of where they're going to, or how aggressive they're going to be with their holding the line on interest. So, we could see a cut here in the near future, but we're not really getting that same kind of feel today, right? Obviously, if I can go back in, let me just see if I can go back over to a chart here, and I'm just sharing the OptionsRobot platform here for the, and we can see. I'll just show a bigger picture. Something like the Qs, and all right, get me into something like the Qs here, Qs. And, when we look at, Friday, that was a really big day, right? It was awesome. And I'm not there yet. Come on, show me the Qs. Qs, there we go. Sorry about that. So you can see the big push that we had in the Qs, and today was just kind of blah, right? So a little bit of give back, a little bit of anxiety. And I think we're not going to have interest rates for another 3 weeks, right? In terms of an interest rate decision, I doubt they're going to do anything in the short term unless we see something like a jobs revision that is, much bigger than we've seen in the past. There's been a lot of rumors that we're going to see something like a million job cut. So not cut, but a revision of the million jobs that we don't have. So then I think the Fed may get a little more aggressive, and we could see now. Right now, we're only pricing in about an 83% chance of a 25 basis point cut. Now, if we do have the labor market start to turn weak, then we could see something like maybe a potential 50 basis point cut, and that would really help the market out in terms of, I think, getting it going, starting to look a little exciting. So you look at the Qs, kind of blah, didn't do that much. You look at something like the SPY, and we were a little bit more aggressive. I believe we were maybe not on the SPX, on the SPY, I think higher in terms of where we were on Friday, a little bit lower today, obviously not that big of a deal. IWM had a fantastic move. So again, the broadening out of the market. So as we look at that breadth, they really came in to buy the small caps. And this is one I think you got to keep an eye on here in terms of the continued movement there. And then diamonds looked really good on Friday as well. And you can see that we had another pop, right? Where it's really starting to look very, very interesting, but giving them back a little bit more today than what we saw, right? Coming back down, maybe not quite at support yet, but that thing could continue to fall here a little bit given the one big gap that we had, and then the nice rally on that. And that's only 30 stocks. So we had a lot of names in there today that were pretty weak in terms of like the rails, and that was surprising me that they got hit as hard as they did. But I want to come back in a little bit in terms of the broader market. And again, the one thing I think that everyone's going to be watching this week is NVIDIA. NVIDIA's going to have earnings Wednesday night. We're also going to have CrowdStrike that's coming out as well. But you look down through this list, and we kind of had a mixed result out of your big weighted names, right? And this is basically just on Market Chameleon, your stock screener, looking for some of these bigger names, what's going on volume wise. And when you look at NVIDIA, obviously it's been the most traded volume, I think, in the stock. You're trading on average about 190 million shares a day, right? That's pretty impressive. Compared to something like Apple, right? Apple trades 54 million on average. You know, a Meta, you know, it's a much higher price stock, so it's only trading about 13 million, right? So you look down this list, and you say, okay, well, if Apple and Microsoft, they're the two second biggest companies in the world, and then you have Nvidia at 140 million or 147 million today. That's pretty crazy that everyone's coming and trading that as aggressively it is now. Tesla at 346, trading 82 million is probably your number two, just because it was a big high flyer. Now Tesla, if we look at that, Tesla's numbers, let's see, I'm gonna go in and look at Tesla here real quick. And you know, you start to look at your historical charts, right? You can see we're in this kind of consolidation. Now I can't really draw this in terms of as good as I have it on my other charts. So I like to have you know, basically a candlestick chart. Again, you guys can decide however you want to look at them, but you know, when I start to draw in here, a couple things that I would say that you could see is kind of the highs that we broke in here, and the lows as we start to look at the lows, slightly improving on the low side as well. So you know, kind of breaking out of a symmetrical triangle here. And I think this could be one that looks very, very interesting if we can kind of get through this high or maybe even today's high as an opportunity. Here's the problem. When you start to look at how expensive your options are, it may not be for everyone, right? We're moving at about $13 a day in terms of your ATR, right? You guys can see that down here on that number, $13, $12.90 to be exact. But we go into the options, and the options are a little bit expensive. So for $13 a movement, I'd be expecting to spend something bucks in terms of our at the money options. And for be helpful if I'm in Tesla, TSLA are at the money, but Tesla, come on, and when we look at, again, keep in mind that 1290 in terms of getting a little delay in my system. I'm not sure if it's my RAM on my computer or what. I'm not sure if I'm losing you guys or Will, did I lose you?
No, we can hear you. We can hear you. It is a little spotty though. Can you hear me? Hey, Jim, can you hear me? I see you're on the chat. I think we may have lost Ryan. Ryan, can you hear me?
Hey, Will, we back? Am I back?
Yeah, I was just about to go call you.
Nope,
You're back now.
like it's
Yep,
out.
you're good. So I can hear you. You want to bring up your
Are we back?
screen again? See if that works. Yep, you're back.
Yeah, I don't know, with my internet went just. Let me get back to the screen, find you guys, and share screen. There we go. Window. There we go. Okay, so that should be good now. Is that all right?
Yep, we got you back. Screen's up.
Okay, so yeah, I lost everything there in terms of the action. So I'm trying to pull up Tesla. So back to where we were in terms of Tesla and the pricing of the options. We had said something around $13. Stocks trading 345. I said in terms of that $13, I expect to pay something, or again, somewhere about half that ATR movement. So they're a little bit expensive in terms of looking at those at the monies on that. So if you feel comfortable with trading something that's $8, and the problem is it's expiring in a couple of days, but because you're moving $13 a day, you can still get really good movement out of it. So you may not want to be holding it overnight because you are going to be decaying roughly $1 a day, right? So you're going to be losing that dollar of extrinsic value, which comes out of your theta, and basically will hurt you if you try to hold it overnight going in the next day. So maybe something, if you have the ability to day trade and look at that, let's just throw in a quick example. If I wanted to do something like this in OptionsRobot, I could say and use an entry bot, TSLA, and let's see, Tesla be greater than, and didn't catch Tesla. There we go. Sorry about that. Greater than, and we could use that same high that we were looking at earlier. So that high of the day there was 349.53. So 349.53, and buying an option, I'll do a one lot, just buy the at the monies, and I'm going to buy the 350s versus the 345s, and I'm going to do use a price slicer. So it basically allows me to get into my options at the best possible price for that. I'll hit create. Then, because of the way OptionsRobot is built, allows me to use one of my defaulted basically management bots to work my way out of the trades and get it in. Now, if I'm only looking as a day trade, again, how much do I really think this thing can move in terms of over $12? So I may want to use something a little bit bigger. Maybe you want to use something like $5. So every $5 on the underlying price, okay, can it move 15 bucks? Of course it can, right? We know it can. So I'm going to use something like that, move up by every $5, and I basically work my rolls that way. So here's what that looks like. I would roll, if I get into my option based off of that entry bot, I would roll up every $5, and it would go to the at the monies on those $5 options, whatever close it is. And then by the fourth one, I would be exiting the trade. Now, I can exit at any time. I can basically just cancel the rest of the bots at any point and just say, get me out of the trade for whatever profit if I want to keep it to a day trade along those lines. But coming back to our stock screener over here. So Tesla caught my eye today as it was reversing and really having a strong day in a kind of a weaker market. And I looked down through this list. Netflix had a good day. Oil had a pretty decent day in terms of that. So again, you look at across the board here, NVIDIA obviously going to be one of the main thing we're going to be watching this week in terms of earnings. Microsoft, Apple, Google actually had a decent day today, bucking the trend out of the names. There's a couple, some positive things out there, but an article talking about their AI push, and that basically saying that they're leading the pack in terms of AI. So again, they've been at it for a long time, so that's not a bad thing there. Let's just go over here real quick to our screeners. We're on the screen. Let me go over the options, the unusuals, because this is always something I like to watch as well. Open, right? This has been one that has been on our radar here for a while, and that's apparent. You can see it's been in here for the last 10 days. It's been here 10 days out of the last 12, which is pretty insane. SoFi is brand new to this, and I think that's starting to make a nice move here. Big volume on this in terms of the options, right? It's a perfect kind of scenario for the broadening out of the market. It has pretty high open short interest. So when we let's look at SoFi on the charts here real quick. And again, I'm just using the basic of what Market Chameleon has and just filtering through a couple of these names, and you can see what it's already giving us. This thing is just on fire, right? So you can see SoFi is a pretty good candidate if you think it's going to continue to go, especially if interest rates going into an interest rate environment where we could be lowering interest rates, which should help a lot of people refinance, which is what SoFi is all about. So again, if you think you're going to break out here, this is one that I think could use to the upside. So again, if you want to jump into it right away, you can. I like to use an entry bot, so I'll use an entry bot at the high high on this one. To do greater than, and stock is high today of 26.38. And some you may be asking, why do I just use the high of the day? Well, it's a clear indication that buyers are willing to buy at higher prices. So if we know that, and again, there's really no resistance above it, so that to me is a good sign on that. I'm going to buy the slightly out of the money on that. We said 26, maybe we go to 26.50s. So we'll go to 20. This is pretty, I can be a default, a slower default, because it's pretty liquid on terms of those options. So I'll hit create. And again, on something like this, though, when we have a lower ATR, I may want to use a roll and exit that's a little bit less. And do I think I can really move? Maybe, right? So I'll get one quick roll in if I can get $2, and then I'll roll at the second one. So we preview that group. You can see you have SoFi that is moving up. If it goes up, we're going to buy the 26.50s, and every $2 we're going to roll those options up on the first one, and then on the next roll we're going to exit the trade on that. So $4 a movement, probably not a bad little trade idea there. Now, one other one I found through this list, I was looking at a couple of these things down through here. Etsy was pretty ugly today. That moved down pretty aggressively. I'm trying to think what other name was in here that I wanted to show you guys. I don't see, maybe it was on the screener over here. So let me go back to that. That's still the stocks. There we go. So coming down through, oil was strong, and I must have found it somewhere else on here, but I was looking at, let me go back over to OptionsRobot and show the chart on this. Was mRNA. One of the other filters there I had, and I apologize, I don't have it up, but was mRNA. And mRNA caught my attention because of how ugly it was looking on the chart, that this was taking out this low. So I started to scroll back on this, and you start to look at news stories, and I did a little bit more research on this, and there was a couple different articles coming out about talking about the ability to push their big vaccines as they've done in the past. And this could be very, very ugly for the stock. So something like taking out the lows, if you're looking for a bearish trade, this could be one. We start to take out the lows here, right? This is kind of sitting on this kind of mini shelf right here right now. If it starts to take out those lows, we could retest these lows. Now, that's not that far away. So let's put this into perspective of how this looks, and put this into kind of a scale so you guys can see it. So that one's trading about $25. That low right there is about $25. These lows back here are only trading about $23. So that's about $2. Now, the big picture is, where can it go, right? Where's support? What I try to do is I go back as far as I can and look at as much information as I can on the stock. Where's it come from? Where could it potentially fall? Well, we get through this 23 area, which is acting as support over here to the right. It's falling down below the support through here. Next bigger support area, I'd probably say something like 20, 21 maybe, something like that. So this could definitely fall, and we could use that same kind of, even though SoFi is $28, this is $25, we could use that $2 template. So let's do that real quick. So let's look at the chart here real quick and see where we want to trigger. Maybe we use this low back here. That is 25.06 on that one, on that day right there. So that would take that out. Today's low is 25.35. So let's do an entry bot to the downside. And if we're going to say less than, I'm going to be right on the first, I get the name first. So let's do that. mRNA opportunities, and trying to find stuff that is going to be moving. So we said today's low was, let me just kind of hover over again, 25. That's 25.25. Oh, it was the low we were using back there, 25.06. Let's just do that, 25.06. And I'm going to jump into a put, and this is because it knows I'm automatically, if I'm saying less than, I'm going to automatically be looking at a put, right? So it's just saving me time of jumping into something. So I'm going to say the 25 at the monies. You could go a little bit in the money on these because they're not that expensive. And I'm going to just do a default on this one as well. So default, that's going to basically get me into the option, buy my option. And again, it's automatically going to build out my template for me. And I'm going to use that $2 one that we had. Actually, that's not even in here because that was on the call side. So let's build one. All right. I want to build one for this specifically. So I'm going to create a management bot, and I'm going to say if the option value, let's say, well, if the stock goes down, we'll say the stock, keep it simple. If the stock goes down less than $2, I want to do that. If the stock value goes down from the acquisition price, down from the current price. Now let's use the acquisition price. Acquisition price by $2, right? Then I want to roll my option. So quick roll, and I'm going to say I'm going to roll my roll to the same expiration, and I'm going to just do the at the money. So I'm going to let the system find the at the money for me, just so I lock in some profit. I'll do a quick trade, or the default roll on that one, and hit create. And then that builds my roll, right? So that's my roll in there. And then I can create a nested trade. So I can say if it does the exact same thing and goes down another $2. So if it moves down by my acquisition price by $2, then I want to exit the trade, and I'll do that for quick as well, and click create. So now I have 2 trades that are in here. I can go create a put template and save it if I like that. If I want to use a $2 and again, fits my criteria on that. So those are a couple ideas. So right now, I'll just kind of summarize what we have. We go back to our positions, and we can see down here, we have a SoFi, a Tesla, and a TTD. No, sorry, Moderna right in here. Moderna was our bear, so we're looking to buy a put in that one. SoFi was a call trade. That momentum continues, and Tesla was a call trade. That continues the momentum. So they all look pretty good. And again, I think coming back to Market Chameleon and the screeners, I think NVIDIA has got to be on your radar here this week with earnings on Wednesday. They're expecting a pretty heavy move in terms of the action, but I think they're really under pressure, right? There's a lot of news that's out. If you're not paying attention at all to what's going on in NVIDIA, but the China, they've been able to sell into China, but they're giving up 15% of their revenue to the United States. So not a great thing. There could be some guidance based off of that the market really doesn't like. But overall, I think you start to look at, again, opportunities here. I still think there's a ton of opportunity in this market, and I think we can continue to move higher. So, just again, come back. If there's any questions here, Will, I'm happy to jump in and answer anything.
Well, we did not really a question, but one of the regulars on mentioned he has a long position. He actually has a risk reversal on in SoFi, so he was interested to see you mention that. I will say, I mean, looking at that mRNA, obviously it peaked during COVID, but that was like a $300+ stock in 21. It's amazing how far it's come in.
Yeah, and I think the recent news really could be the catalyst that makes this thing start to fall apart. I mean, that really doesn't look good on the chart at all. I mean, I hate to be the guy that says 0 is on the board here, but it really could start to fall. I mean, you could lose 50% of the value of this thing pretty quickly.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of room to give up. So, I mean, $20 isn't nothing.
Right.
It's not like a penny stock.
Even though, I mean, you're typically not shorting a $20 stock, expecting it to go down a lot. But when there's really nothing here for support, I mean, you go back to 2020, and obviously you look at where this thing could support. There's not much data back here to build off of it. So I think there's definitely some to me, it looks very interesting. Let's put it that way, at minimum. Any stocks anybody wants to look at? Anything in there that popped up?
Nope, nothing popped up. So it was another great show. Thanks for bringing the information to us, Ryan. This has become a weekly event every Monday. So great job, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah. So if anybody is interested in what we're trying to do at Options Robot, help you guys out, basically do the trading with a automation we're not using AI in any way. We're using your automation, what you decide, what your templates are. And it's just connecting to your broker. You're not trying to move your money in any way. We're not controlling it. So to me, that's a big benefit, to give you better tools than your brokers can give you at the moment. So no other broker is able to do what we're doing right now, mainly because of the nested part of this, where we can do layers of trades and layers of stops to really help you build out a plan. And it's really helping a lot of guys that are trying to work during the day, right? And they can't watch their positions all day long. So it's really helping those guys out a lot. So I appreciate the opportunity.
You want to show everyone how they go on and log in for an account, how you set that up? If they land on the page.
It's straightforward. I can give you a link. It's basically just to come in and register. You can go to OptionsRobot.com. And for me, I can log out and log back in, but it's going to be straightforward for, I don't even have to do that. Basically, what's going to happen once you register, you come in, you register, you put your name and email in and a phone number, because it's all basically second factor authentication. You got to have all the stuff. It's all, basically on the most recent technology to protect your information. But when you come in, you're going to get a subscription. You're going to want to pick a subscription. You can use a base model, you can use the pro model, or a technical. I recommend, if you are looking to connect to your broker, that's the pro version. So you connect to your broker. If you just want to do paper trading and mess around with different bots, see if it works, this is the basic level. But the pro version gives you the ability to connect to your BD. Right now, we're connected to Tradier, Schwab, and Alpaca. We're looking to connect to Interactive Brokers, Tasty, E-Trade, and TradeStation over the next couple of months here. It just takes a little time to get all the programming set up. So once you come in, you're going to click one of these. I'll give you a coupon code. We can set that up. Let's do something for September. Let's do Labor Day. How about that? We'll do Labor Day as the coupon code, since we're coming up on Labor Day here. So we'll do Labor Day all lower caps, or lowercase, and we'll make a 50% discount for anybody that wants to come in and check it out. I advise, what I would say is, use the pro and do the annual. You get a 14-day free trial with it. So if you like it, you can keep going. You get it for the cheapest value over the course of the year. If you don't like it, you can cancel it anytime. So again, it's a one-time coupon that we set up, and allows us to kind of get you guys in at a really good rate, especially for all the Market Chameleon customers.
All right, we do have one Chameleon who's asking, let me know when E-Trade shows up. You'd like to do it, but he's an E-Trade customer.
There you go. Yeah, E-Trade seems to be a popular one. E-Trade's a little tough because of the Morgan Stanley. So they've gotten a lot harder with their API access. So we've been in discussion with them for a while. So once we get it up, I know we got a lot of people, a lot of friends that want to be on that with E-Trade.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Ryan. We will see you next Monday. Thanks for doing this.
Well, next Monday is a holiday, so I'm not sure if you want to do it. So
actually, next Monday we will not do. Do you want to do Tuesday or do 2 Mondays?
Sure, Tuesday's fine. Yeah.
All right, let's shoot for next Tuesday. All right, great.
All right, sounds good.
All right, great, my buddy. We'll see you next Tuesday. Have a great holiday. Bye.
You too. Take care, guys. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining another After Hours show with Ryan and Options Robot. For those who are new to seeing us at Market Chameleon, please go on to Market Chameleon. We have a free 7-day trial. You can go on to MarketChameleon.com and register for that. If you're watching us on YouTube, any of the social platforms, please like, follow, and give us thumbs up. Everyone, thank you again for joining today's After Hours show. Have a safe evening and a great trading day tomorrow. Remember to join Dimitri and I actually at 9 a.m. for our live show. And you can find that at MarketChameleon.com on YouTube. We're live 9 a.m. every trading day. All right, everyone have a great day. Thanks again for joining. Bye.